It's Big Brother's Big Archive. This week's episode, The Only Way is Elstree. Now, if you excuse me, me royalties have just come in, and I'm gonna spend them all on a hooker.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, thank you once again for joining us for our latest episode of Big Brother's Big Archive. It's been a while since the last one, but I'm sure you've been looking forward to making this as much as we have.
Yes, considering the fact that we went. Because considering the fact that the powers that be have been trying to stop us from doing this episode.
Yes. We've had a lot of trouble with the weather and a lot of production issues, but we finally get the chance to talk about Celebrity Big Brother 8. So
until suddenly a meteorite just comes out of the window or something.
Which will probably happen knowing our luck recently.
Aye.
But as mentioned, my name's been Karl, and joining us as ever is Mr. Paul Barron and Mr. Joseph Tilley. How you doing over there, lads?
Hello.
You doing okay?
Yeah, not bad.
And are you looking forward to talking about this series?
Yeah.
The massive show of enthusiasm there. Good to see, lads. Good to see. But yeah, I think you are actually quite right to be talking about this series in quite pessimistic fashion, because Celebrity Big Brother 8, it wasn't the best series, was it?
If it was a song, it would be the fall of the pioneer.
The Interpol song.
Yeah, it's just
But then again, a lot of people might consider it the rebirth, because as we all know, Celebrity Big Brother 8 was the first ever Channel 5 series.
Yes.
And also, it was the first HD Big Brother broadcast.
Yes, good point. Good to bring that up, Joe. I love technical specs like that. Although the sight of seeing Kerry Katona in HD wasn't the best.
Wasn't the best. In fact, come to think of it, if it was the rebirth thing, the doctor might have just seen the baby and slapped the mother afterwards.
Never mind. But yeah, this is the first Channel 5 series. Now, not only are we going to be using this podcast to talk about Celebrity Big Brother 8, but we're going to also use it as a chance to look retrospectively at Channel 5's time in charge of the franchise. Look at the positives, the negatives, and see what Channel 5 can do in the future to help further themselves as a broadcaster. Because I do actually like to think that Channel 5 have made progress with their Big Brother.
How have they actually sort of made progress, dare I ask?
Well, you can't deny that the three series that took place in 2012 were good series, like CBB 9, CBB 10, great series. We had an okay Big Brother 13. I think steps have been made, but I think it's interesting to look back at Celebrity Big Brother 8, and really this was Genesis for them. This was Channel 5 in its originality. And of course there's things which are going to be flawed because it was a new broadcaster. But the question
who doesn't know what he's doing?
Of course he didn't know what he was doing when he was brand new. Channel 4 didn't when they took it over in 2000. I want to hear both you and Joe talk about the first point which I'm going to make, which was even before the show started. The news comes through in around April or May of 2011. Channel 5 have bought the rights to the Big Brother franchise, and they plan to broadcast their first series in August that year. What was your reaction to this deal happening when it first took place, and looking back retrospectively now that Channel 5 have done a couple of series? And we'll put that to Joe first.
I think they're flogging a dead horse, to be honest. It's got better since this first one, but yeah, flogging a dead horse comes to mind.
And what about you, Paul?
I would say flogging a dead horse, but knowing these sick puppies, they would probably dress the dead horse up, put makeup on it, put some plastic surgery on it, and put it onto the couple.
Gibson.
Josie Gibson.
Ooh.
That's a harsh one, Joe. Well, knowing Channel 5's love for Josie, I wasn't surprised that she actually had some sort of... I was surprised she didn't have some sort of involvement in the show itself.
Well, she did. She was part of the advertisement for it.
Yes, but I wasn't surprised that they didn't have some sort of Josie shrine in the garden or something like that.
Josie.
I up, you cowboys.
Oh God! Tell you what. When we get to BB11, I have a lot to say about John James and Josie, and we'll get to that when we get there. The next thing I want to talk about is some of the production changes that happened, which Channel 5 chose to take on board.
Oh God, please.
Which Paul's gonna. Yes, which I promised Paul he's going to have the chance to talk about this. But in particular, I want to talk about Brian Dowling as the replacement for Davina. Now, the use of incidental music within the show, which became much more prominent than it did in the Channel 4 era. Marcus Bentley's new casual narration style, and of course, the use of on-screen graphics. I'm going to let name tags. And I think, as you can tell, Paul isn't that happy with the name tags. Paul, would you like to explain your problems with the name tags?
Happy.
Would you like to explain why you have such a big issue with them?
How can you tell that something's completely scripted in a reality show, especially when you're looking at a show such as The Only Way is Essex, right?
Yeah.
King name tags. It's insulting to the viewer and the audience. It's like insulting to the viewer's intelligence. Just to say, you know, this is what are they going as? Blaze Sitch or something like that. This is Clapper.
Clapper. I love it if there was a Big Brother house in there called Clapper.
I would really love.
Let's campaign for Clapper for Big Brother.
Well, there's someone out there that's probably gonna have the name Clapper's Reek.
But now I agree with you on the sense. I think that the use of name tags was a bit pointless.
And the incidental music. I mean, you know, for some, I don't want to hear someone's making toast. Oh my God, someone's making toast. Someone call the Prime Minister.
Now I have to say, Paul, I agree with you in that to that extent. I find them a bit pointless myself, but to try and defend Channel 5 somewhat, do you think that in this day and age that something like the old Channel 4 style of broadcasting, which was very dry, was maybe a bit out of date for the normal reality TV viewer?
Define normal, because we're not...
Well, the sad thing is that shows such as The Only Way is Essex and shows such as Jersey Shore have become more popular than what Big Brother are. And what was this just Channel 5 just trying to move with the times? And it's something like the old style broadcast with a very dry, very serious format, was maybe a bit too dreamy.
But it's what we've got used to. You can't just suddenly change it, can you?
How bloody dreary? How the hell's bloody Channel 4's BB Big Brother dreary? Have you seen how they went out? They kind of fucking
I mean in regards to production.
And we liked it.
And even when I can understand that. I'm just trying to play devil's advocate here. I agree with you a lot, but I have to try and understand of what Channel 5 might have been doing. Now, what was your view on Brian Dowling as the choice to replace Davina?
I think it was an alright choice. No one can replace Davina because she's the queen, but...
In fact, sorry for interrupting you, Joe. In fact, right, Davina said, and I quote, in an interview, right, that Big Brother was the best thing that would ever happen to her.
Oh, massively! It completely changed her career.
Yeah, it was 10 years of Davina McCall on telly.
And who can you blame? And who the hell could you blame her? Right? She got married. She was pregnant while doing Big Brother.
3 times.
Yeah.
See? Now, I don't think Brian Dowling would do that.
Well, he wouldn't get pregnant. I'd be a bit scared if Brian Dowling got pregnant.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Hey, you gay?
Do you think Brian was the best choice though? Or do you think maybe someone else should have been chosen?
I think they just went with we need someone to actually, you know,
This
fill
is
in for
the winner
Venus.
of the best housemate from the year before.
I think
That's what that competition was about, the ultimate housemate.
You think Ultimate Housemate was a way of choosing who the next host was?
Yeah.
Then thank God Nicky Graham didn't win.
Or Josie.
Oh, John.
Oh, God, Josie.
Although that would be bad.
And imagine this. Hello, welcome to Big Brother. I'm Big Brother.
Actually, I think Pete would make a great host, to be honest.
Yeah, to tell you the truth, yes, he may look like a baboon's ass that would probably haunt the next generation of children's nightmares, but I gotta admit, he would make a very good host.
It would definitely be entertaining, I'll have to give you that. Now, we're just moving on from the technical stuff. I know Joe would love to talk about Pete Burns for the whole podcast, but instead we're going to be talking about the cast.
Quick point.
Yes?
You move on.
As Joe stands on his pedestal, let's
A general question.
Yes?
What do you think of the Jan Moyer and Michael Hogan comments about the housemates being freak shows and notable only for who they married or taking part in another reality TV show?
They're absolutely spot on.
Yeah, and also, can you blame him?
Yeah.
I mean, look at fucking Jedward. Behold the telepathic morons!
So you think they were, quote, scraping the barrel?
It's in some cases I think they were, but in some cases I didn't, because we have to remember this was a Channel 5 Big Brother, the first Channel 5 Big Brother, and I was expecting absolute nobodies. And the fact that they managed to get people like Jedward and Amy Childs, who were at the peak of their popularity, into a show like that for the first time, I do think was impressive. But I think the supporting cast that went with that was very weak.
Yeah.
Until they did Big Brother, then their popularity just went spiraling down like a backlog.
Well, I think with Amy, definitely. And I think with something we're going to be bringing up later on. But also, launch night gave us probably the biggest question that the whole nation was saying afterwards. Who is Bobby Sable?
Who is Bobby
A
Sable?
model. That's all I know.
As Joe scatters to Wikipedia to find out. But no, I think Bobby's probably the biggest who the hell are you casting ever in Big Brother history. And him and Lucian.
I vote homeless guy who was wandering outside the studio.
But to defend Bobby though somewhat, I actually did hear a story of how he managed to get cast. Now the story goes that the celebrity cast for that series was going to be a lot stronger, and apparently both Sid Owen, the EastEnders actor, and Bobby, yep, him, and Bobby Brown, Whitney Houston's ex, were both apparently supposed to be in the cast. Now both pulled out for their respective reasons. Lucian was brought in to be Sid Owen's replacement, and Bobby was brought in to be Bobby Brown's replacement. Now the reason it was Bobby, there's two arguments to go around as to why it was Bobby. The first was that Richard Desmond just got absolutely desperate to try and find someone, and phoned up a local modelling agency and said, have you got someone free for the next 3 weeks to be on Big Brother? The other rumour was that Bobby was supposed to be part of the Big Brother 12 cast, and then got moved into the celebrity version at the last minute, with all of his modelling as an excuse to claim him as a celebrity.
Ah, you crafty family man, Mr. Desmond. You crafty bastard.
Well, you got to fill your cast.
Yeah, but try and find someone who actually someone knows, like Orville the Duck or something like that.
Orville the Duck.
That.
Now I tell you what, I'd rather take Bobby Sable than Orville the Duck. Now I'm going to move on to other thing about launch night, the other big aspect of it, which was Kerry Katona's Diva task. And of course, the first time that Channel 5 did their traditional launch night twist of the secret earpiece and giving out instructions. Did everyone enjoy that task though?
I do think it was good, she did well.
Again, it does the start of all these stupid
earpiece tasks.
First day task sort of thing sort of feels a bit, stupid in a way.
It does, but I do think that there needs to be some sort of novelty to the launch night. I think just seeing 12 people going into a house is a bit dry.
I would really buckle if it just,
We ran
on a budget. Let's just slap a T-shirt on them and see if they notice anything. Saying I'm a twat or something like that.
Paul, have you been taking angry pills or something today?
I'm not angry. It's just the fact that I do not know.
Yes, but here's one thing that you do know, which is that after Kerry had a day's worth to try and convince people that she was the biggest diva in the house, and of course the housemates got to choose which housemate they thought was the biggest diva, where everyone unanimously said Jedward. This man, including Jedward, voting for themselves as the biggest diva, I should point out.
See? You bloody see where I'm coming from. Help us if they actually went on an advertising campaign for the Tories.
Well, they would win, definitely.
Morons, but it's so adorable.
Now, so Kerry lost this task, and of course she had to nominate. Paul, can you let me finish, please?
Okay.
She had to nominate 2 people to join her for eviction that week, and she chose Bobby and Sally. Now, the question I want to put to you, Joe, is: was this the right move?
Yeah, I think so, because they're the ones who hadn't really shown much character.
Well, obviously with Bobby still, because nobody knew who the hell he was.
Yeah, but Sally, I think from the start everyone hated her.
Do you get that impression? I sort of quite liked Sally.
Yeah, but she's a politician.
Well, a politician's wife.
Oh, politician's wife. And,
yes.
Even worse.
Even worse. But so you think they made the right choices? What about you, Paul?
Not really. I do see it, but I don't think it was that good.
Okay. Now, we're going to be devoting this time to talking about some of the early season connections of that series, which was... There was these little groups which really began to form during the early stages. Now, 2 groups in particular I want to talk about. First of all, the sort of mother-son relationship between Kerry and Jedward. What was your take on that?
I think it was sweet, I think it was nice that, she stepped up and looked after them, because they were rats.
Oh God, why did you just put that image of her breastfeeding Jedward?
Oh, you put that one in the head. Oh God, Paul. Added to the fact that we actually get a clip of Jedward just as babies later in the year.
Oh God, no.
Not great.
Mummy, Jedward needs pity. Jedward needs pity.
And we'll try and move on from Jedward, please. Jedward as babies. We'll move on, and we'll talk about the other big relationship of those early stages, which was Paddy and Sally. Now, what did you make of that relationship, Paul?
Well, for a start, fucking weird as out, because I would just imagine those 2 being on a date, considering the fact that Paddy is married. And Sally's just going, what?
There was a lot of that actually. There were a lot of that from the audience as well, because Paddy would do these real massive long monologues talking about the house dynamics and how well he's liking everybody, and you'd be just thinking, what the hell is he saying?
Channel 5, we need subtitles.
We need subtitles. Stuff the name tags. We needed subtitles.
I would really buckle if they went onto teletext and got the deaf, subtitle thing. Random Irish jibber jabber.
You mean teletext doesn't exist anymore?
Yeah, teletext doesn't exist anymore. Paul, you are so 1980s.
The subtitle thing.
I know what you mean.
So before we move on, can we just take a minute?
Yes.
And discuss Abgate.
Abgate. Oh, Darryn Lyons. Darryn Lyons and his Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles abs.
Oh God, the cock. Oh Lord, there it is.
Paul, Google this up. It is one of the weirdest things that you can see.
I've actually seen a picture of it. What the hell's going on there?
He had ab implants put in.
I do hope he goes to prison because, quite frankly, that is the weirdest thing you'll ever see.
I thought Tara Reid's watch surgery was bad.
I would really buckle if he actually lifted it up, so it just shows you know his big man flab.
They're called flabs, flabby abs.
Flabs. I remember that.
Those are not flabby abs. They were just just lumps of weirdness.
But it helped to add to the quirkiness and surrealness that was Darryn Lyons.
And what's going on with his hair? Looks like he's got a parrot stuck it where.
That's why the media's calling him the cockatoo.
And I quite liked Darryn actually though. And I have to be honest, I thought he was quite a. I don't think he was the nicest person, but I found something quite engaging and interesting about him.
Because even if a celebrity sneezes, he'll know about it.
Well, no.
Harry was the mum, Paddy was the dad, and Darryn was like the weird uncle.
No. Kerry was the mum, Darryn was the dad, Paddy was the drunken uncle. Yeah. But we are going to have to move on, and we're going to be talking about the children of that relationship. Paul, you're going to hate this, so you might want to go away for a bit. We have to talk about Jedward's behaviour, and in particular, the way that their fun activities in the house came across.
Oh yeah, it's great, it's cool, yeah, great, cool.
Now, I hate him already.
Now I agree with you two that I don't like seeing contrived behaviour in the house. The question is, do you think Jedward was contrived? And if so, does it really matter on a show such as Big Brother, where the aim is to try and be as entertaining as you can?
I don't think it was contrived, I think it's just how they behave. It's just like, they're like little Peter Pans who haven't grown up.
Oh god, don't say Peter Pan when Jedward's involved.
Why not?
Because the fact that they're never aging. Imagine them in 50 years' time when they're old men. I'm still the teenage hot frog!
I'd love to see Jedward as middle-aged men with kids and wives.
Here we are, Jedward!
But so for you, Joe, it didn't bother you that Jedward came across in this way.
It bothered me, but I just knew that's how they were. So it's like, it didn't really bother me.
And what about you, Paul?
Oh, right. How old are these two?
I think they'll be in the early 20s now.
Right. When you don't act like that when you're 20, right? Do you know what you turn out to be when you're 20 years old and acting like that?
What?
An absolute fucking tool. Right? Oh, going on. Oh, that's cool. That's thing.
It's made them lots of money though.
Yeah, and what's worse, I've seen their latest friggin' music video trying to pull them off like they're some sort of king. Bollocks.
Can we move on from Paul ranting about Jedward? I just get the feeling this is going to be a theme of the episode, to be honest.
Don't get me started. I'm just getting rolled up. Yeah. Right? And also their hair. What's going on with their hair? When they go sad, they just flop in front of their faces or something.
Like a dog's ears.
I must say they have changed bits since.
From the fact of they could probably spear a man from 50 yards away.
Well, no, because the hair's not that spiky anymore.
No, it's not. Let us try and move on though, then, lads. And we're going to be talking about the first eviction of the year. I wanted to talk about the Wizard of Oz task actually, which I didn't have the time to do though, unfortunately, because we're a bit behind. So we're going to move on to the first eviction, and we're going to talk about Sally. And of course, Sally was evicted that week. Now, I think a lot of people agreed that Kerry was going to be safe. I think it was pretty inevitable. But choosing between Bobby and Sally over which one would join her was going to be tricky. And do you think that the public made the right choice by getting rid of Sally?
Well, Paddy will be probably sad. I mean, you know.
The question though, do you think the right decision was made though, Paul?
No, I don't think so.
And why do you think that Sally would have brought more than Bobby?
Well, was Sally a complete nutter bitch?
Well, you watch the show, you tell me.
Yeah, I think it was. I think it was right on the public.
And what about you, Joe?
I don't know, it's like, Bobby, you know, who the hell's Bobby?
But I quite liked Sally. I thought she was a nice enough person. I felt that she was relatively harmless. But I do think that over the course of the time, I think Bobby did have more potential to maybe be a bit more prominent. So
Yeah.
I think
Even though no one knows who the fuck he is.
yes, but I think there were signs that Bobby was beginning to. He was developing a bit more of an attitude. I think we had someone who maybe could be a bit rootable. I think DS in particular really got behind Bobby in that eviction. DS. Basically, if you're attractive and not chavvy, DS adores you. Basically.
Yeah.
So Sally went that week, and a couple of days later we had the only regular nomination process of the series, which saw Darryn and Pamela nominated together. Now the question I want to put to you is, why was there so few normal nomination procedures?
Probably, I don't know why, but they probably want to change it just a bit, you know.
Did it annoy you that all these changes happened at once?
Yes.
Because I do think that maybe some of the elements that Channel 5 did try and introduce maybe were in the right. I think the problem was doing it all at once. It just came across as a bit garish, and especially when you had a new production team who didn't really know what they were doing anyway. It just came across as really off-putting.
It is, because quite frankly, you know, you don't right. What do you do with something when it's not broken?
You don't fix it.
Exactly. That's what Channel 5 is trying to do.
But obviously there must have been something which was broken with Big Brother, because Channel 4 got rid of it.
No, Channel 4 just, you know, they saw an offer from Channel 5, declared it was dead, then gave it to Channel 5 on secret, then dug it back up.
But the point is though is that Channel 4 considered the show dead. There must have been a reason why they did that, and Channel 5, when they brought it back, tried to do something different to make it alive. They dressed up the corpse. That's the best way to put it.
Hey, they did again.
But we'll move on from this. Now, I want to talk about the big controversy of the series, which was Sweatgate. Now,
why do I just see a load of armpit?
Well, actually, Bobby Sable had been in the sauna. He'd been doing his working out over the top of some trendy, chavvy music montage, and then decided to wipe his sweat and put it into Darryn Lyons' drink.
Oh.
And the question I want to know, and it's the same thing with Freezergate and Connor's Epilator rant, should Bobby have been reprimanded, and why wasn't he?
Fuck yes! You do it too bloody that! I've done my fair share of practical jokes that were a little bit underhanded, but dear God, putting someone else's sweat into someone else's drink, that's like basically taking your balls and slapping them in their face.
It was very low, but the thing I want to know is why did Channel 5, and don't use this as a chance to rant against Channel 5, Paul, why did Channel 5 insist on keeping around these characters who were doing something scandalous? And I know that they say controversy creates cash, but I think there's a line, and I think Channel 5 far too often cross that.
You said it yourself that Richard Desmond owns the companies that do Heat magazine, right?
Yes.
There you go. It's a news generator, a rumour myth if you want.
But surely a bigger story would be someone being kicked out for doing something evil.
True, but unfortunately there are no hamsters to actually get that on film, so...
And what about you, Joe? What was your view on Sweatgate?
I think it should have maybe, been warned and given a bit of a punishment, but I don't think they should have kicked him out for it. It is disgusting, but it was a prank, so...
Imagine if you had OCD, right? And you put someone else's sweat in there, you'd probably drown himself in bleach. Basically take the bloody toilet duct
Moving on. And we're going to be moving on to a contestant who I feel doesn't get a lot of appreciation, particularly in recent years, but someone who I felt was a good star of that series, one of the few people to really emerge from CBBA as someone who was worthwhile watching, and that's Tara Reid.
Oh, I knew you were going to say that. No,
How did you know I was going to say that?
because it's the only person we haven't talked about, really.
Yeah. Well, and of course I love the American complex personality villains. Tara really, after Signs of Viking, really began to emerge as a schemer and a plotter in the series, and really became the first person to really be worth watching in the show. What was your view on Tara as a villain?
Me?
Yeah, I'll put that to you, Joe.
I think that, again, you know, she's a bad guy, like most Americans are, and I think she was good. I liked her plotting. I liked nomination discussions. I think it was quite good, you know.
And don't you think as well that in a happy-go-lucky house as what the CBB8 house was, where it was very much a get-along gang, having someone like Tara in there added another dynamic.
Yeah, I think it was a good evil dynamic.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
I think Tara was very underrated when it comes to the celebrity series, and I think the reason for that is because other characters very similar to her have emerged in the Channel 5 era. I would actually like to think that Tara Reid was the prototype for the likes of Spidey and the likes of Carissa and Christina that came afterwards.
Yeah, I think that as well. It's like she was the first female bad guy of the Channel 5 series.
But I think because Spencer and Heidi and Carissa and Christina were so much better, that it sort of means Tara's a bit underappreciated.
Yeah, but like she was the original, and I know it's like there's Spidey, which is 2 people, and Carissa and Christina, which is 2 people, but she was one person and she was brilliant.
I thought she was great as well. I hope a lot of people do appreciate Tara Reid in the future. What about you, Paul? Tara Reid, Big Brother villain.
Well, considering the fact that she was in the Big Lebowski,
You say she was in the Big Lebowski as if it was a bad thing.
Good point, well made. But,
I love that film.
Yeah, you do need something to lighten up a show. You do need the bad guy, you know, to bring some sort of weird, moody light or something like that to a show, which.
Do you think Tara played that role well?
Yeah, I think she did.
Yes. But unfortunately, it was another American that stole the limelight that week. Unfortunately, we saw the eviction of Pamela Barr-Castletoft against Darryn Lyons.
I mean, sort of yay.
It's actually a bad thing. Personally, I quite liked Pamela. I know she was a bit saddled by that last name, but she was a nice woman. She was a bit off the wall, but I think that just added to the appeal to it, I think.
Hey, considering the fact that she was used to be married to David bloody Hasselhoff, you know, the man is basically off the wall as well.
I'm surprised they haven't managed to get the Hoff for Celebrity Big Brother. It would just be absolutely fantastic. But what was your view on Pamela, Joe? Were you a bit pro, a bit anti?
I was in the middle really. I didn't like her, but I liked her, but I didn't. I can't think. I didn't dislike her, and she was alright. Yeah. So it was just in the middle for me.
Bit harsh for her to go against Darryn Lyons, though.
Yeah.
I mean, and we'll be discussing it later on. But who voted for Darryn in that series? There's nothing about him that sort of screams out to the casual voter. Yet he ends up making the finale.
Yeah.
Hey, maybe she was thrown to the lions.
Maybe. Oh, I like that one, Paul.
Thank you.
I like that one. But I was pro Pamela. I felt that she was a nice, harmless, off the wall loon, and that's sort of what you want on Big Brother, in my opinion.
Considering Darryn is, you know, the backbone of celebrity, the hub of celebrity gossip. It was basically an off-wall loon versus an off-wall bunch of balloons.
Are you talking about his abs there?
Yes, I'm talking about his abs because, quite frankly, they are freaky as shit.
They are very weird.
It's just, I would just really buckle if you just pulled one off and go, dusted it off and put it back on. Off camera. That shouldn't be like that. There we go.
So Pamela ends up leaving the house, and then straight afterwards, we end up getting yet another eviction twist, which is that Pamela gets to choose the 4 people who she wants to get immunity into the finale.
Revenge!
Yeah.
And of course she chooses Quelle Supreme, the big 4 of that series on the whole, which was Jedward, Kerry, Paddy and Amy.
Yeah.
Big convenient that she ends up choosing the producer's pets. Do you think people maybe had a word in Pamela's ear over that?
I think they'll probably have a bigger word with a bigger, massive briefcase full of cash, and said, if you say these names, we'll give you this cash. And there we go.
Yeah.
And possibly a pony.
Yeah, they just seemed a bit too convenient. Plus, I don't think Pamela ever really had a relationship with, especially with Kerry. I don't think that she and Kerry ever really got on that well. But of course, what it gives us is a 4-person eviction, which is between Lucian, Bobby, Darryn, and Tara. And it's Lucian was the one who replaced Sido, and he was on Waterloo Road and tried to showmance every single woman in the house. Now, lads, what was your opinion about Lucian and the way that Lucian behaved around the women? Do you think it was right what he was doing? Do you think he came across a little bit sleazy, a little bit desperate?
I think he was just trying to show up to the cameras. If I'm honest, he's just trying to be a playboy.
Yeah, I would probably agree. I would agree with you there, Joe, considering the fact that, if you're trying to get a showman just for the sake of, being on the show, then what's the point of it?
I agree there, lads. I think that Lucian was very cynical about it. It was almost as if when Lucian got into the house, the first thing he tried to do was to try and set himself up with Amy, and when that failed, tried to set himself up with Kerry. Came across as a bit too desperate for me, and I think it put a lot of people off him. I think a lot of people found Lucian quite sleazy in that regard.
I think Lucian and Kerry was quite sweet.
Do you get that impression? I didn't really think so. I think the age difference between the two was a bit too much.
Yeah, but
let me just check my
Well, whilst you do that, Joe, I'm going to be asking Paul about something which I know is going to drive him insane because it involves his 2 Irish friends.
Oh, God.
Now I know you dislike
I'm
Jedward.
hoping that Lucian hasn't tried to put his pork in both of them. Please, I don't want another image like that.
No, although that would make a lot of tabloid headlines, definitely.
Jedward's a bit gayward, haha.
But no, the thing I want to talk to you about is that for all that Jedward did that was maybe a bit irritating to you, what was your view on the shopping task?
The fact that
The one where they actually went out to Lidl and did a full-on supermarket sweep around the shop.
Stuck in the Lidl with you.
Stuck in the Lidl with you.
Stuck in Lidls with Jedward. It's like it's like the shopping centre of purgatory.
It should have been Iceland, especially if it was Kerry.
It would have. They should have done that. They really should have done that. If Kerry had won the right to do that, it should have been Iceland. Totally agree with that. But the one thing I do love about that task, it wasn't actually the task itself which I found the best bit. It was, they did a mini challenge to try and find which 2 people would do the run around the shop. Jed would win, And once they realise they've won, they start jumping up and down, hugging each other, shouting, "It's gonna be all sweet! It's gonna be all sweet!" And then it just pans across everyone else, and they're just like, "Oh God, no!" Just
They're children. They are children.
They are children, and I just found that task really fun. I really enjoyed that task, and it's one of the few times I've really had a laugh out loud moment on Celebrity Big Brother 8.
Another one for you, and Paul, this one's for you. The Essex style vajazzle for Paddy. Vajazzle. Or pad jazzle.
Oh, the pad jazzle.
That'll be cold.
They actually did a lot of that during the series, if you noticed. One of the things that sort of Channel 5 did a lot of was doing these sort of personalised tasks.
Yeah.
Like sort of daily tasks, because not only did Amy have a vajazzling task, but I seem to remember Darryn doing a paparazzi task early in the series.
Yeah.
Well, he is the mouth of the celebrity industry.
He is. There was a lot of that done, and some of them were okay. I think I could tolerate Amy's vajazzling, but some of the tasks, some of the sort of daily tasks, were just really surreal.
Yeah.
I mean, having Mohammed Al-Fayed come into the house dressed as a pharaoh and judging which group of contestants made the best mummy. That was just a bit surreal for me.
Which one's that? Is that the one that's that was seeing Princess Diana?
Yes, he was Dodi Al-Fayed's dad. He always believes there was.
His dad, right.
He always believes there was a royal conspiracy to kill Diana.
Well, there's your bloody proof there.
Yes.
To kill Diana and get Mohammed Al-Fayed bloody in the friggin' Big Brother house dressed as a friggin' pharaoh. It all makes sense. Richard Desmond did all the stuff to do that.
So you believe that Richard Desmond deliberately killed Princess Diana to get Mohammed Al-Fayed in the Big Brother house?
Not particularly, but still.
Yeah. Paul, contact the Daily Mail with that. You'll make a fortune.
Bloody believe it as well. I will believe that. Local lunatic finds out conspiracy theory with Big Brother. Oh my God.
Unfortunately though, our minimal enjoyment of Celebrity Big Brother 8 truly came to an end at the end of week 3, when unfortunately we saw the back of Tara Reid.
Aww.
Yeah. And the question I need to ask about this is, what convinced people to save Lucien, Bobby and Darryn over Tara, when Tara was by far a better housemate?
Methinks production.
Do you think production rigged that one?
Probably, yeah, I mean...
But I wouldn't understand what sort of purpose they would get from rigging that one, because I mean Tara was the villain of the series. She was the one providing something of interest. You were really going to have a get-along gang if you kept all the rest in.
Yeah, but, you know, all of it's just, all of it's sometimes rigged. I mean, if you have the posters, they'll believe anything, really.
I think it's time we talk about Lamey.
Lamey,
and we're talking Lucien and Amy here.
Oh,
Yes.
dear
Oh,
God.
Drunken Fumble.
Thanks for bringing this up, because Lamey was, quite aptly considering its title, probably one of the lamest showmances ever. It just felt so artificial. It came across as quite desperate for me. I mean, I could only ever think of one Big Brother showman's, which was more obviously contrived, and that was Karl and Kinga.
What?
Karl and Kinga was the only time that I ever saw a showman's more contrived than Lucien and Amy.
Well, I thought you were talking about someone different, but there we go.
Are we talking about the same woman who sticked, and I quote, a wine bottle?
Paul.
Yes, wine bottle and Turkish transvestite.
Oh, that's even worse.
I think he's actually gone full on with the operation now, Karl.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll move on. I just never bought into Lucien and Amy. And I know they had these situations with the drunken fumbling, but I just felt he was a bit contrived for me.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes showmances don't work out. But when they do fail, they fail spectacularly.
I mean, sometimes the showmans can be absolutely brilliant television. I mean, Anthony and Craig's evidence of that, of what a good showman can do.
Michelle and
Stewart, another great example, but like Lucian and Amy was just so false, and especially since Lucian, once he left, went to OK Magazine, pretended he got it off with Kerry. I mean, Lucian was so desperate for a showman. It was really off-putting, actually.
My God.
Now,
yeah. Oh my God! You should see what I'm looking at.
please not Pete Burns pictures.
You know, have you seen the film The Fifth Element?
Yes, I have.
Do you know of Chris Tucker dressed as a woman?
Yes.
Oh, God.
That's exactly how Kamal looks.
Oh, God.
You're spot on there.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is. There's the image.
Before we get turned off by space transvestites, we're going to have to move on, and we're going to be moving on to finale night. Yes, that's how bad Celebrity Big Brother 8 was. That between Tara going and the finale, nothing happened.
It's quite frankly, you know, all you just hear from that was.
It was a tumbleweed get along gang, and I mean, people always complain that they want nasty people out because they don't like watching them. You don't want nice people getting along with each other. And I think Celebrity Big Brother 8, the final 7, is evidence of that.
Grit, a game called Grim, right?
Yes.
Focuses more on grit, right? Turning a very nice and pleasant story into something foul and gritty.
And that's what Big Brother should be.
Yes. Karl?
Yes?
We're gonna need a beard and a small sleeping cap. We're going to grim up that place.
Maybe later.
Oh.
Yeah. What I want to talk about right now, however, is a grievance which I had with this series, and one of many grievances which I had with this series. Did the finale have too many people?
Yeah, I think it did.
I mean, 7 people in a finale is just too much for me. But why did Channel 5 have so many?
I think it's because of the fact that they thought that you know, since the ratings fell because of the fact that they got rid of the villain too early, they thought they just pulled the plug on it straight away and thought, right, we need to get off this sinking ship. Women and producers first. Come on, everyone on the boats.
I mean, I think this is one of the shortest Celebrity Big Brothers, apart from like the first one.
Apart from like 1 and 2, which I don't even count as proper celebrity series.
Spin-offs.
Well, they weren't even spin-offs. They were just like cheesy things for comic relief.
Oh.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Don't you enjoy Vanessa Feltz' little breakdown?
Yes,
yeah.
that's Vanessa Feltz' breakdown and Jack D trying to escape is the only thing I remember from that celebrity series.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we're gonna be flying through the 7 people, and it's no surprise to anybody that there was an obvious pecking order with who the first 3 were going to be. It was obviously going to be Darryn, Bobby, and Lucian, who went out first in that finale.
How did Bobby not go earlier? I don't know.
And that's a question I was just going to ask you, Joe. You read my mind. What? And I'm going to put this to Paul since Joe pretty much answered it. What was your view on Bobby, Paul?
Again, the last costume in the shop, man. Because you know he was basically, you know, a last minute pick, wasn't he?
Yes.
He was basically rang up from a modelling agency saying, "Hey, do you want to go into Big Brother? There you go. In you go and do shit."
And he did. He did nothing. I mean, Bobby has a big fan base on DS, but I really don't know what he did to justify it.
I think it's just because the fact that, you know, he was basically the last minute resource. They said, you know, fuck it, go in.
Do you think that maybe people were a bit sympathetic towards Bobby because he was a last minute replacement? People didn't really judge him as harshly as they would have done if he'd been one of the first people chosen.
Kind of. For a start, finding out who the fuck he was for a start. That would probably help a lot of people.
I wonder how many people went on Wikipedia after launch night to try and find out who he was.
Yeah.
I'm surprised Wikipedia didn't actually have a breakdown after that.
Actually, if I'm correct, I'm just looking up the housemates. Bobby Sable doesn't actually have a Wikipedia account yet.
So he can't go into Wikipedia and change that.
It just says Bobby Sable, born 5th of August 86, is a British fashion model. Sable is modelled for New York and Paris, which is currently signed to Elite Model Management. That's it.
And that's it. Nothing else.
Yes. Channel 5 getting those superstar housemates in. But yeah, Bobby just was a nothing character, and really I don't think he should have had a place there. Even if they done it like a midweek vote count and got rid of the one with the least votes to win and had Bobby out there, it just would have improved finale. Because Bobby didn't deserve a place there, did he?
Nah, not really.
No.
Jesus Christ.
But before we turn it into a Bobby Sable bashing session, which is probably what DS are doing.
Come on. One more.
One more, Paul.
Bobby Sable is so not famous that they even got a hamster to go in instead.
And the tumbleweed rolls.
Ah.
Let us move on and let us discuss Darryn Lyons, who was finished in 6th place. Now, I felt Darryn was a bit underappreciated actually. I think
considering the fact that he's basically in charge of ruining most celebrities' lives.
I'm not saying that Darryn is the nicest person in the world and he's this misunderstood god. I'm not saying that. What I am saying though is that I felt he brought a lot of aspects to the show which I don't think gets a lot of praise. I found him a compelling, interesting character. There was a bit of a villainous streak. He was portrayed as a bit of a arrogant tool. And I found it quite funny in a strange way, and I'm probably in the minority there. But I felt Darryn offered to the show in my eyes.
Yeah, I think
I would probably agree with you there.
But what do you think would have made Darryn a bit more appealing to the public that he would have finished higher than the 6th place?
no flaps.
I don't think he can help that.
To tell you the truth, yeah, he would probably benefit more if he didn't have those weird flag things. I mean, for God's sake, it's like he's going, you know, am I a fat bloke? Am I a fat bloke? Like hell I am. I'm a muscly bloke as well.
What do you mean you're calling me fat? Look, I've got a 6-pack.
Yeah, it's basically, I'm not fat. Look at my 6-pack. No. Not working. Not working.
Didn't he pay something like $4,000 for them as well?
Yeah.
And I thought my spray paint supplies were over expensive.
It's so weird.
They were so weird. Let us move.
Pictures, because it's just weird.
Let us move on though before we start getting hung up on that. Now we've already mentioned how grievances with Lucien, but we have to assess him as a contestant. Were there any good aspects to Lucien? Was there anything that he brought to the show? I mean, the showman's thing was a big storyline of the series.
Yeah.
Paul, you okay over there? We're hearing a bit of squeaking.
It was just he was trying to be both a player. I'm gonna make a lot of showmances. Why? Because I just like to. I want to generate news. I want to make sure that people print my face in the OK magazine.
I totally agree there, Paul. I think Lucien went about it very cynically. But was anyone a bit surprised that he was only 5th place? Because you would expect someone like Lucien, who's a young male, who has a lot of followers on Twitter. You'd expect that sort of person to maybe be a contender. Was 5th place a bit underwhelming for him?
I think he was in the right place because I think the top 4 were really, really big characters.
I don't think the top 4 would have been chosen. I don't think the top 4 would have been caught.
Yeah.
Lucien was pretty much best of the rest. Paul, you can talk
I mean, like, Amy's big, Jedward's big, Kerry's big, Paddy's massive.
Well,
You
now
know,
he's-
it's just like, how can you compete with them?
and on that,
even though you probably stick your fork in most of them, so.
And on that note, we will move on to that big four. It was always going to be a battle royal between them four. Now, we're going to talk about Amy. Now, when
let's not talk about Amy. Oh my gosh, shut up.
unfortunately, we have to. Now, before this series started, and the rumours were going on that Amy Charles was going to be on Big Brother, I had loads of people on Facebook saying, "Oh my God, I love Amy Charles. She's absolutely amazing. She's going to be a fantastic housemate." Now, I don't watch Towie, so I took their word as gospel, basically. And what I saw from Amy was somebody who was largely irrelevant to the show, and someone who was a bit dry, a bit dreamy. So the question I'm going to put to you, Joe, is: was Amy a victim of overhype, or did she simply not deliver in the series?
I think it was a bit of both. I think it was overhyped, and all she did is really sit around the house doing the jazzling and stuff like that. So.
Oh,
Yeah.
sure. Let me bring up something. Why the living hell do you want to do it for Jazzle? What making something that you're going to be sticking your dick in, like bloody shiny? I mean, come on.
I've never understood vajazzling myself, and I don't want to be honest.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that's going to be sitting in the country.
Let's quickly move on.
But yeah, Amy didn't appeal to me. I was surprised that somebody who was so irrelevant was hyped up so much. I mean, production really went out the way to try and make Amy a relevant, important character. I mean, they even gave her her own spin-off afterwards, and nobody watched it. They just tried so hard to make her this important character, and I just never bought it.
Yeah.
But we'll move on now. This is a really big important thing, which is that Jedward finishing third. Now, considering Jedward pretty much had all the airtime that series, led the votes on the internet forums to win, had the massive Twitter fan base, why did they only finish third?
I think they should have been separated, to be honest.
You would have liked...
John and Edward, not Jedward.
It would have been hard to tell them apart though. I love the idea of having twins.
Yeah, right.
I love the idea of having twins separated.
Like Samantha.
Samantha would have worked, or anyone who was a pair.
Well,
I think Spencer and Heidi, if Spencer had gone in like week 1, it would have been interesting to see Heidi there on her own.
Yeah.
But I was so surprised. I was even surprised. I'd resigned myself to the fact that Jedward would win. Why do you think they didn't appeal to the voters?
I don't know, because I put a bet on them to win.
You must have been gutted then, Joe.
What?
You must have been gutted.
Yeah, I was. I put a bet on Jedward and I put a bet on Kerry to win, and none of them won.
You must have been doubly gutted then.
Yeah.
But
I was.
and one of the things I might want to bring up with this is that we often talk about this Twitter tween fan base that votes on these reality shows. Do you think situations like Jedward not winning, and with other examples which I can think of on the X Factor, Strictly Come Dancing, that sort of thing, do you think that the tween vote is a bit overhyped?
Yeah. I think, like, if you're gonna let your kids vote, at least let them vote for someone who was actually like worthy of winning.
Yes, we've actually just lost Paul, so we'll just keep this conversation between me and you. But we often talk about this tween vote, and Jedward winning maybe is, in my eyes, evidence that it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we'll move on. We've discussed Jedward plenty, and now we're going to be discussing Curry and versus Paddy. Now, I think a lot of people agreed.
Hello, Paul.
Hey, Paul. We got Paul back. Hooray!
Right.
And Paul, you're just in time to help us discuss Curry versus Paddy. Now, you're very much in the Paddy camp, but who did you personally think was going to win between them two?
Kerry.
I think Kerry as well. But what about you, Paul?
Because, well, for one thing, you can actually understand what Kerry's actually saying. Because, you know...
He won, though.
I was very happy Paddy won. And it was a pleasant surprise. I mean, I wasn't really rooting for Paddy. I wasn't really rooting for anyone that series. But I was so happy Paddy won.
I don't think Paddy was going to last that long.
Because he was just he's such a warm personality.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does have that warm personality. Even though he could probably, you know, knock you out in one punch.
And do you think that was what appealed Paddy to the voting public? Do you think just being nice was enough to get him the vote, or do you think there was something a bit more?
I would say that would get him the vote because, you know, at the end of the day, you do want a warm personality to win it.
And I can imagine between the two, Kerry wasn't seen as that warm.
I think she was. I think, you know, she looked after Jedward pretty well. She's a nice person. She, you know, stepped out of the room when Lamey started doing their thing.
Yeah, but, you know, at the end of the day, you know, you're going to have a winner. Bear in mind that Kerry Katona did have a warm personality as well. But at the end of the day, you're going to have a winner, don't you?
Do you think there was an element of an anti-Kerry vote in voting for Paddy? I mean, Kerry Katona's a bit of a divisive figure, pre-show especially. Do you think a lot of people got behind Paddy just to stop Kerry? Or am I just talking gibberish here?
Maybe it's because of the fact that people don't want a nice Kerry after a while.
I can say that. Now, what was your...
She'd won too much anyway, Kerry.
She had. She won I'm a Celebrity. She'll be on Strictly next, I bet you. She'll try and win Strictly Come Dancing.
Yeah, something like that.
Did she do Dancing on Ice as well?
I think.
I don't think she win. Kerry Katona's going to go through all of the reality shows now.
She won that Pop Stars thing, didn't she, with Atomic Kitten?
Oh, God.
I think that's where Atomic Kitten started.
I'll have to look that one up. I'm not entirely sure. I think it was Girls Aloud that came from Pop Stars.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And now look at them.
Yeah. But we have to talk about our winner. We have to talk about Paddy.
Hey,
did anyone feel that Paddy was maybe a bit under-edited? I felt that considering the airtime and promotion that Amy, Jedward and Kerry got, Paddy was a bit hidden under the radar. He sort of got the role of house narrator, but surprising considering nobody knew what the hell he was saying. But
yeah, you can probably see that.
Part of me just got the impression that Paddy wasn't production's first choice to win. I think if production had their way, they would have wanted Amy, Kerry or Jedward.
But at the end of the day, the public does have the vote.
It does, and I think it was one of those first signs, confirmed by Aaron storming Big Brother 12, that I think the Channel 5 went into CBB8 with this idea that the public can take whatever we want, whatever we throw at them, and they'll take it. And Paddy winning, on top of Aaron winning, was us saying, hang on a minute, we're still in charge.
Yeah.
And that's Paddy won.
Exactly. Now,
may every Irish person start brawling now.
Yes. But do you find it a bit ironic though that Channel 4 get rid of Big Brother, and the first winner of the Channel 5 era of Big Brother is somebody who made his name on a Channel 4 show?
Yeah.
Which was taking the piss out of gypsies. A
Channel 4 show which came in the aftermath of Big Brother being cancelled. I just find that really ironic that sort of circle. But on the whole, lads, what was your view of this series? First of all, from considering it was Channel 5's first one, considering what they've done afterwards, what was your view?
I think that from it didn't really get off to a good start, but it's it's built up momentum and it's got really good.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Well,
can't wait for the next one.
yeah.
As long as you don't have a violent sort of figure dominating the airtime. Yeah. What about you, Paul? What's your view on CBB8?
Well, I'm going to quote something Rich thing. Get me some other condiments, because this week's all said continent, and that's basically what this series is. It was a bit weak.
It was very
my
weak.
taste.
Do you think it was weak because of housemates, or do you think it was weak because of production?
Mixture of both, really. On the other hand, you got the housemates being, well, their usual selves, and also you got production trying to sell what is basically people with the personalities of a plank of wood and Jedward.
I can agree with you in some aspects there, Paul. Definitely, I can agree with you there. But unfortunately, lads, that's all we got time for today.
Hooray! And once fate has not intervened.
Believe it or not, we've actually talked about Celebrity Big Brother 8 for an hour.
Cool.
Who would have thought it? And I can imagine all the people listening to this thinking, you saddos, how have you managed to do that? But
Well,
I've certainly enjoyed making this podcast, and I'm sure you lot have it over there.
Yes.
Just
Fate's still hurting Paul there.
electrical. It hurts.
Yes. But until next time, ladies and gentlemen, I've been Karl Bainbridge, that's been Joseph Tilley,
Hello and goodbye.
and that's been Mr. Paul Barrett.
I can taste frying.
We'll see you again next time. Well, we'll be beginning the Channel 4 era. See you later, everyone.
Yay!
Bye bye.
Bye.
See you, everyone.
Bye.